Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Influencer Interviews and Insights with Rooster Hat and Takes. My name is Matt. I got Jason and Cam with me. How you guys doing today?
Doing pretty good, man. Another beautiful day. Can't wait. This is an exciting show. Super pumped about it. Got special guests, so.
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. Thanks. Like, as he's just said there, Jason, what a show we've got here today, and probably the biggest guest so far, so I'm really looking forward to it.
Absolutely. A lot of good things happening here, definitely with our little podcast. I want to just congratulate Danny Abreu for winning the WWE WrestleMania 2K edition for the video game giveaway that we did for Next Level. So congratulations to that. Hopefully you enjoy the game. That we had a lot of good things happen on the Next Level app with that. We have another giveaway coming up here in starting on Monday. Stay tuned for that. Follow your favorite content creators. Jason, it's good to see you're doing a little better this week. I know you were under the weather last week, but good to see you feeling better.
Yeah, definitely feeling better. That's the joy of having kids. Kind of went around the house first, my son, and then hit me, and then now my wife too. So it's still lingering around, but I'm feeling better, so that's good.
Yeah, that's good.
Speaking of kids, I want to give you a little congratulations. Go ahead and share your news with us and everybody else.
Yep, found out that we are going to be having a boy. We found out the gender. We did a little gender reveal Monday, so it's pretty exciting. We're pumped. Brayson Christopher is going to be his name. Named him after Bray Wyatt, which is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time. So pretty cool. We're super excited, and it's gonna be a circus around here.
Right. I hear you. We're having our boy here in about 2 months, actually. So we're right there with you. So baby boy's coming here from us. Cam, we know you're just a little baby still, so you got a little time. So
yeah, I do. But anyway, on a serious note, I wish you both the best with that, and congratulations on having your third kids, isn't it, for both of you?
Yeah,
it is. Yep. Absolutely.
Thanks, buddy.
So
yeah, no worries.
Thanks. All right. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and bring on today's guest. Let's welcome Santi. Santi, how you doing?
I'm fantastic. Early morning recording session for me. This is not normally when I'm even out of bed, but when the Next Level podcast comes calling, I got to come in and entertain the masses.
Well, that's awesome. Thanks. Yeah, thanks for taking a little time to just talk to us a little bit about you, what you're doing in the content creation world, and just a little bit more about Santi as well. But yeah, thanks for waking up early. It is early, little shoot for us. It's a little later there for Cam, but
yeah, it's afternoon here in the UK.
Are you missing school today, Cam? What's going on?
No, I've just finished. I've just been revising for my exams coming up in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So finished, rushed to get here to the podcast. Can't miss the podcast.
Nice. All right, Santi. So tell us a little bit about you. So how did you get into the whole content creating business? And when did it start for you? And when did you realize, hey, this is something I can really benefit from and turn it into a career?
I mean, it actually goes back way further than people actually realize. I've been making content professionally, I guess, if you want to call it, since 2012. And also just been making content just for fun since about 2006. I'm pretty sure if you dig deep enough, you can find some cringy high school vlogs that I made all the way back in 2006, 2007. If you can find those, honestly, the NSA should hire you, because I've tried to bury those from the surface of the planet, but good job if you find them. But I was just making vlogs and skits in 2007, 8, and 9. And then I went into college in 2011, and in my dorm room, I started playing a tremendous amount of Call of Duty, to the point where it was just not good for my grades. But then I found that people were making videos on YouTube about Call of Duty, commentaries about what's the best weapon, tricks about certain maps, hiding spots. So I started slowly getting into that back in 2011. And that was when I first saw my first bout of growth. on YouTube. Basically fast forward a few years, and I had a Call of Duty channel with around 210,000 subscribers at its peak in around 2015, which for YouTube terms, like 2015, 200 and like almost a quarter million, that is a tremendous amount of subscribers.
Right.
Like there were maybe a handful of channels at the time with over 1 million subscribers. So I was doing pretty good for myself. Now, monetization back in those days for YouTube wasn't fantastic. So I was making enough to like buy my beers and late night burritos in college and buy a couple textbooks here or there. But I properly retired from that scene in 2016 when I got a job. I got it because if you do the timeline, 2011, 2012 to 2016, like that's my college years. My college years were making YouTube videos in my dorm for Call of Duty. Then from about 2016-ish to about 2022, I was on and off on a website called Twitch, just streaming myself playing video games, playing whether it was like sports games, horror games, Dark Souls games, whatever, honestly, whatever the heart desired at the time, because at that moment, I didn't really have a content plan. It was just, I'm free and I'd like to broadcast what I'm doing. In 2022, though, my Twitch stream had about, I'd say, actually, no, late 2021, it had about 50 average viewers, which is actually pretty good for Twitch. Like, it's tough to gain viewership on Twitch. And out of those 50, I had maybe like an enclave of 5 or 6 hardcore wrestling fans, and I was one of them. So what was neat is like during my live streams of playing whatever game I was playing, I'd have like those 5 people, and between me and those 5 people, we'd shoot the crap about wrestling. Then I did on Twitch something that's called a subathon. And for a quick explanation, a subathon is you stay live so long as people keep subscribing to your Twitch channel. It adds time. You just keep going until the timer gets to 0. And sometimes what streamers do is they do little incentives to try and get people to subscribe. And one of the incentives that I did was for X amount of subscribers, I would do a 5-episode pilot of a wrestling podcast. And it was really just for those 5 people that watch wrestling in my Twitch stream. Like there was no wider wrestling audience. The only other person that I knew in my immediate life that I could record the podcast with, that I'd already had plenty of wrestling related conversations, is a content creator that I'm pretty sure you all know. His name is Mr. Tesh. So we recorded this 5-episode pilot of Straight Shooter Wrestling Podcast, which is what we called it. And it was fine. Like, it was like 30 viewers. We're like, that's more than the 5 that I knew. So that's good. But then he had the idea to post on TikTok, posting clips of the podcast, which we actually never ended up doing. We ended up copying this other TikTok page that did Guess the Athlete. But then we just did it for Guess the Wrestler. Then we started posting those on TikTok, and those were honestly a bit of an overnight success. Our first TikTok there did about 400,000 views literally overnight. Wow. Which just demonstrated the power of TikTok and the algorithm. And then we just kind of ran with that for about a year, that same formula and that same format. I did branch off and started my own individual wrestling brand that on its own then really exploded. Whether it was like wrestling content on Twitch, that group of 5 people is now about 2,000 every stream, which is pretty insane. We have a fairly large YouTube channel, pretty big presence on just about every social media platform, TikTok, Patreon, all wrestling related. So it's pretty cool that as a wrestling fan, I got to throw a message in a bottle trying to find wrestling fans by making content. And it's landed, and it's landed with a lot of people, which is so cool.
That's a great story, right? Going all the way back to college. It's just sort of how it's transformed over the years. That's super cool. So where do you see the most success, and are you doing the same type of content on all platforms, or do you mix it up here and there? How do you work that angle?
For sure. I have a pretty strong content plan, I find. What I don't do is I don't give you the same content across all platforms. Maybe sometimes I get a little lazy between TikTok and Instagram Reels, but really, like, they're trying to serve the same audience. But for me, if you find me on TikTok, I want you to come to another platform like YouTube or Twitch or Patreon, but you're not going to go over there if you're just getting the same thing already on TikTok. Like, what's the point? So I try to encourage you to come over to YouTube. And then once you get to YouTube, you get the same person, you get the same personality, but you get content that you haven't seen yet because it's just on YouTube. And then the same thing for Twitch. You come over to Twitch, it's not the same regurgitated content that's on TikTok or on YouTube or on Patreon. It's different. So you get the same personality, you get the same persona, but now you have different access to me, which is live. But it's not the same thing that you've seen on the other platforms. So for me, that's worked magic in terms of helping cross-pollinate across all of my different platforms so that there isn't like redundancy in terms of what I'm posting across all of these different types of social media platforms. If I can convince you to click somewhere else, I'm going to make it worth it for you by making sure that you're getting something you haven't seen before.
Nice. So got to address it. What's going to happen? Do you think TikTok's going to go away? You know, I know a lot of people, they use TikTok for their small business or whatnot, or the TikTok shop. What do you think about TikTok going away possibly?
Yeah. Funny enough, I was having a conversation about this with my agency, and I mean, like, I'm of the mind, you know, if you want to quickly just open the curtain of politics, I don't think that the Chinese government is going to allow itself to get clowned on the international stage by having the US government force its hand. I think that ByteDance and the Chinese government will completely martyr itself and not sell. I don't think that they're going to. I don't think that it's in their interest, frankly, at this point to sell. And TikTok, although it's huge in the United States, it's huge in other places as well. Do I think it's going to get banned from the United States? I think so. I think that this is the U.S. government is hell-bent on having it happen. Like, the amount of times that they've tried to expedite this process, to me, tells me like this is a mission. Like, this is what they're trying to do. This isn't a byproduct of something else. This is the mission. This is the end goal that they're trying to get to here. Will it get, delayed in courts? Maybe, but I do still see it as an inevitability at this point, which is why I've made sure that although I have a couple of eggs in the TikTok basket, it's not my entire supply of eggs. I've been transitioning people over to other short form platforms like IG Reels just to preserve that type of content should TikTok go by the wayside. I am Canadian, so I will still have access to TikTok.
Okay.
I think. A lot of the times US makes a decision, we're right alongside them. Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's the case. But I've been doomsday prepping for longer than probably most content creators. I've been of the mind that TikTok has been a fledgling content place for a content creator to make a career. It's very volatile. It's very not dependent on how many followers you have. You could have 0 followers and get as many viewers as a guy that has 10,000 or 100,000. It's all about, does the algorithm like what you're putting out? So because it's very dependent on that algorithm, I feel like I don't have a lot of control over my own future, which is why I've decided to focus on building every other platform that I possibly can.
Yeah, so I'm in a similar boat to you, being from England. England normally just follow what the United States do, same as Canada probably do. But if it does get banned in the United States, do you think there's still a purpose for us to create on TikTok, creators in England and Canada, when the bulk of our audience as a wrestling creator is probably from the United States?
100%. Like, it's gonna hurt you. It'll be like losing both legs, losing both arms. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. If we lose the American audience on TikTok, like, it's going to be crippling. But I look at my analytics, and it is 56% United States. Weird that I know that off the top of my head. 56% United States, but that's 44% of my audience that's somewhere else that should theoretically still have access to everything that I do. Is it is it crippling to lose more than half of your audience? Absolutely, which is why you should be focusing on growing everything everywhere all at once, to quote the name of that movie. to make sure that your American viewership can still find you. But you know, I have I have viewership in Nigeria that finds my stuff on TikTok. I don't know why I you know, even though maybe financially it might not be as lucrative anymore to post on TikTok, it could still be a good content strategy to filter everyone from all those other countries to watch your content on TikTok and to bring them to other places like YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not staying ahead of the game, right? You got to stay one step of what's going on out there and plan and prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you talked about you were in college and then you took a little break there. What did you do for a job before this all took off? Because you said you graduated and you had a job. What were you doing then before you became, you know, the content creator you are?
I was actually like pretty successful in the world of corporate sales, like doing business to business tech sales. Maybe that's what helps in terms of being good on camera, because I've been selling on camera over Zoom for a very, very long time. Maybe that's helped in terms of creating a connection with viewers, because as a salesperson, like that's my job, to create an instant connection with somebody to try and make sure that I can find a proper solution for whatever it is that their goals, their needs of their company or individual needs are. But yeah, I did corporate sales from about 2019 to 2024, because I only recently just became a full-time creator. And then from 2015 to that 2019, I was more business to consumer, doing sales in the fitness industry. I started in sales selling gym memberships, personal training packages, things like that. And then just sort of moved my way up in that fitness company in Canada called Good Life Fitness. I went from sales to sales manager to managing my own gym. And then the pandemic hit, which basically killed the fitness industry. And funny, you know what? It's funny that we're talking about the TikTok ban, because I also doomsday prepped as soon as the first shutdown happened with COVID, because the fitness industry was so start-stop for the next 3 years. Oh, there's a spike of cases in your town. All the gyms closed. Now I'm not making any money. Now all of a sudden I'm on unemployment, and I'm done with that. Like the first time that it happened, I'm like, there's no way that this shutdown happens again. And then it happened again. And then when it happened the second time, that's when I started prepping to get out of the fitness industry, and why I ended up going into tech. So I wonder what the transition is going to look like after TikTok, because I feel like that's going to be the doomsday for content creators, where I feel like so many people are that aren't taking that ban seriously are going to disappear very quickly if they don't doomsday prep.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a scary thing to think about, and like I said, a lot of people depend on that. So you mentioned that you did video game content. Did you ever think of becoming a professional gamer?
Oh no! Oh, I was garbage. Yeah, for me, when it came to content creation and gaming, it was definitely about personality, and I found that in gaming, there's only like a couple of ways to stand out. You either have to be God mode at the game, like you have to be like top 0.01%. And you know, for those that are listening that know gaming creators, you can think of people like Shroud, Ninja in Fortnite, that are just incredible at the game, and that's how you stand out. Or you just have to be an incredibly likable personality, where at that point your skill ceiling doesn't actually matter. People are just there to have the experience of feeling like they're on the couch next to you. Right. That's the experience that you're trying to give from that perspective. But no, did I ever try to be a pro gamer? No. Did I go to a couple of pro gaming tournaments for like Call of Duty that I was invited to at the time? I did. And like to see, it's like, oh, cool. You played in your church basketball league, or you played beer league softball. And then you go watch an actual NBA game, and then you go watch an actual MLB game, and then you quickly realize you're trash.
Right.
Yeah, so Santi, about a couple of months ago, I was on your Twitch stream and I saw the title with Hulk Hogan, and I was like, this is fake. And then Hulk Hogan actually comes on with you. So this is a bit of a two-parter. What was it like? What has he got there?
No, it's unfortunately just out of frame, but my girlfriend got me a frame photo of my stream with Hulk Hogan.
Oh, right, nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I was just going to say, what was that whole thing like meeting Hulk Hogan? And also, do you know any other wrestlers? Have you ever met any other wrestlers in the past?
Sure. I'll tell you this really quick. I'll answer your second question. I know quite a few wrestlers at this point in my career, and I always respectfully decline working with all of them.
Oh,
right.
And I do it because at this point, like, my channel is so big that I could get access to things that the average fan doesn't have access to, whether it's interviews, backstage information, etc. But that's not my selling point. My selling point is that I'm you. I'm a fan. And when I'm watching wrestling, when I'm talking about wrestling, I'm talking about wrestling from the same point of view as you. So that means you can relate to me because I'm just a dude that likes wrestling just like you. I don't have experience being a wrestler. I don't have backstage access. I don't routinely work with wrestlers. I try to keep that all at bay so that I can preserve what I believe is my value as a content creator in the wrestling space. Yeah. Because when you look at the rest of the wrestling space, podcasting, YouTubers, a lot of it is former wrestlers or former industry people, which is cool to be able to listen to a podcast or watch a YouTube video from Chris Jericho, but you'll never relate to Chris Jericho. That's freaking Chris Jericho, dude. That's a legend in the industry. So when Chris Jericho has an opinion or he says something, it's not a two-way conversation. You're just listening to Chris Jericho because he's the expert here, not you. When I say something or when my podcast mate says something, you can debate because I'm just you. I'm just with you on the couch. So to answer your question, I do know quite a few wrestlers. I just try to keep my brand in a very particular light, which is I don't want that extra access. I just want to be a fan because I firmly believe that that is the value that I bring.
Yeah.
Right. Unless you're Hulk freaking Hogan. I'm not turning that down. There is like an infinity gauntlet of wrestlers that if they said, I want access to you, I want to talk to you, I want to be on your stream, I'm not turning that down. And Hulk Hogan is one of those. That came about from a partnership that I did with the Boys and Girls Club of America. And it was a charity stream, and the Hulkster has strong relationships with the Boys and Girls Club of America because that was the youth system that he grew up in that ultimately like put him on the right path. So when they reached out, dude, it's so funny because they're like, it's going to be with a former wrestler. And I was like, it's probably going to be like, I don't know, some WCW guy that no one knows anything about, but it's for charity. I'll do it. It wasn't until literally 3 hours before I went live that I was told, oh, so it's Terry Bollea. And I'm like,
what?
I'm like, that, like, as in Hulk Hogan? Because I'm talking to somebody that doesn't know anything wrestling. It's like an agent for like the Boys and Girls Club. And they're like, yeah, it's Terry Bollea. I'm like, so like, mustache guy? She's like, yeah. I'm like, okay, that's Hulk Hogan. That was when I immediately, like, it was this like out of body experience. Like, are you kidding me? Am I seriously about to bring Hulk Hogan to a wrestling live stream? So that was pretty cool. And I asked him some silly questions that news media outlets then just started to run away with. It started like, I asked them like, what's your favorite Christmas movie? And I asked them things like, you know, is Die Hard a Christmas movie? And Hulk Hogan is such a big punching bag for a lot of these news media outlets that like he would say that like Die Hard's a Christmas movie. And then the headline would be like, Hulk Hogan knows nothing about movies. It's like, man, like we're just doing this for charity. Relax.
Really easy there.
Yeah.
That must have been great though, meeting Hulk Hogan on a live stream. I couldn't have even handled that. I'd have been a nervous wreck.
Honestly, I was a nervous wreck. What helped was that we agreed that he would be like partly in character. You know, and and he started the stream in character, so I went from like being nervous about trying to, you know, because I'm not an interviewer, I'm not a journalist. Like I said, I'm just a fan on the couch. But when he started the stream in character, let me tell you something, brother. I'm so happy to be here with the Boys and Girls Club of America. Like all of my nerves went away, like just disappeared.
That's awesome. I can picture him or seeing him saying that.
No, he did. He almost ripped his shirt off on stream. He was going to, but Twitch is so finicky about even the male nipple at this point that like, I'm like, man, Hulk, I don't know if you could do it.
No, right. So you said Hulk was one of those guys that you would have an interview with. So who's your Mount Rushmore of wrestlers then?
Yeah, I mean, that's a deep cut question. It depends on what kind of Mount Rushmore you're creating. If you're creating a Mount Rushmore of WWE superstars, it looks different than the Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, in my opinion. Because I feel like wrestlers really takes in that in-ring aspect of it. But like the WWE wrestler Mount Rushmore, it's about like more than just in-ring skill. To me, it is Hulk Hogan. It's Stone Cold Steve Austin. It's John Cena. And at this point, Roman Reigns.
You don't have the Undertaker on.
I see. That's different.
Undertaker has to be there.
I want to have Taker on there. I do, and I feel like. But the thing is that Taker was never the guy. He was just always one of the top guys. But he it never revolved around Taker unless it was WrestleMania. But
WrestleMania,
but it is a different thing. Like I would have Taker in a different type of Mount Rushmore.
Yeah, in my opinion, it's Hogan, Cena, Austin. I agree with them three, and then it's Undertaker for me instead of Roman Reigns.
Enough.
Even though I am younger and I'm probably supposed to be in the Roman Reigns fan club, being this age,
I don't think it's a crazy thing to say that it might be early to still say Roman Reigns. You know, people can still ruin their legacy and their career. It happens. For example, I thought Game of Thrones was the greatest TV show I ever watched, and then I watched the final season, and it ruined it. So you never know.
Yeah. I mean, I am excited to see when he comes back. Is he going to be a face? And it's going to be like Bloodline versus Bloodline? I'm very interested to see. I think it's the SmackDown before SummerSlam is returning.
For sure. I think it's going to be a good time. I think it's going to be a reset of everything that we've come to know from Roman over the past 3 years, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. So what did you think about the draft?
Which one, WWE or NFL?
The WWE, right?
Yeah, I feel like the WWE draft could have been an email. Is what I've been telling people. The only people that should be getting drafted are people that are switching shows. It should just be, hey, you get to protect all X amount of wrestlers before the draft, and those that aren't protected can get drafted, basically.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're asking me to come in and watch your show, there should be a reason. And to tell me that Kevin Owens is staying on SmackDown, that's not a reason. It should be, even if it's just not the superstars. Like I want to know who's switching sides, not who's staying on the same show. And I would have liked to see more involvement from NXT for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only parts I found interesting with the NXT call-ups, Ilya and Braun obviously going to Raw because he hasn't been on SmackDown much. I can't believe that Corbin wasn't on the main draft.
I agree. That was
Dijak as well. Why aren't they on the main draft?
Yeah, what's funny? I think it's because they're afraid maybe that there's still a negative stigma about their runs in the main roster.
Yeah.
And maybe they just want to silently reintroduce them to main roster fans because Dijak had that terrible run as T-Bar.
T-Bar.
Yeah, and Baron Corbin completely revitalized his career in NXT. So maybe they just want to do more of a silent reintroduction to those guys, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I felt like the draft was a big letdown. There was no excitement. Seeing Braun on Raw now. They got 3 Brauns.
Yeah,
right.
but seeing Strowman come back, that was cool. But yeah, it was kind of a letdown for me. Or maybe because WrestleMania was so good, everything they do, I'm like thinking it's gonna be topping the next one.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I was a little disappointed. But we'll see. I kind of wish the Bloodline would have went to Raw, and shake things up there, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah,
Well-
I've become of the mind to complain less about wrestling. I'm just like, but one, I know some of you guys, not everyone here is an NBA guy, but I'm a Raptors fan, and
Okay.
the Raptors won the 2019 NBA championship. And I've said that has bought them 7 years of grace period to do whatever they want. If they want to tank, if they want to be the worst team in the league, I don't care. I trust your process. You've proven that it works. And I feel like we wrestling fans need to give that same leeway to Triple H. Like we just saw what happened at WrestleMania, dudes. We know he can do it. We know he can land the plane. Just let him do his thing. He can go through a couple of weeks, a couple of months of bad booking in our eyes, but we just need to believe and trust that it's going to land into something better and bigger down the line.
Yeah, going to play out for sure. So let's talk about the other draft that you mentioned. All right, who's your favorite team, and then what did you think about the draft? Because Jason and I are both Bears fans, and I know we're happy. Well, I'm extremely happy with what we and outside the draft too, right? Like what's actually making some trades or bringing in some free agents. So I'm excited. We actually built around a quarterback for once.
Nice.
And hopefully this process plays out for us. But what do you think about the NFL draft? Who's your team?
I'm a Los Angeles Chargers guy, which is weird
because
I'm from. What's that?
Thanks
Oh
for
yeah,
Keenan.
yeah. Have fun. Yeah, no, he's a great dude. Great dude. I became a Chargers fan because my name is Santiago, and they were in San Diego. And when I got into football, I don't have a team near me. I'll just go with the one that sounds the closest to my name, the San Diego Santiago Chargers. And I've been a fan of them for over 20 years at this point, simply because of their. And then they changed to LA, and I was like, well, I'm stuck here.
Right.
But no, I was happy with their draft overall. I wish they had to trade it down, because I felt like they could have still gotten a great offensive lineman a little bit further down, because it was a great draft class for offensive line. I feel like they could have traded down and in the first round gotten themselves an offensive lineman and a wide receiver. But like, it's weird, man. Like the Harbaugh era of Chargers football it's so weird having a coach that it might actually be competent. So I don't know what it looks like.
Right.
I don't. I don't know if I'm supposed if this is good. I don't know if what they're doing is bad, because I'm just so used to everything that they do being bad.
Being bad, right? Because you've had the pieces. You've definitely had the pieces out there. And you got the quarterback. I'm a huge Notre Dame fan, so you getting Joe Alt. I think that was just. He's a man amongst men out there. He's so good. So you guys will be happy with that pick for sure.
Yeah,
So,
I know that a lot of Chargers weren't initially. I didn't hate the pick because he plays the same position as Rashawn Slater on the same side. So it's asking Joe Alt to switch sides at the NFL level, which I think it's going to. I mean, it's Joe Alt, though. I do feel like he's going to be able to pick it up pretty quick. But it's still asking him to make a change from what he was godlike in college. But I'm sure he'll be fine.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he'll make the change. McGlinchey did the same thing. He was on that left side, and he went to the Niners and switched over to the right side. So I think he'll be all right there.
I didn't understand the word of that.
It's all right. You've been watching Champions League. I watch world football as well, my friend.
Yeah. Who do you support?
Well, here's the thing, man. I don't really support anyone from you. Actually, if anyone understands, it's you, right? Like you support the club that's like around you, like the club you grew up with. Like that's what you support. But I grew up in Colombia in South America, so my club of my heart is a team from Colombia called Atlético Nacional. Fun fact: the team that Pablo Escobar used to own back in the 80s. So when I watch European football or European soccer, I root for the teams that have Colombians in them. I'm very patriotic that way.
Liverpool, then, right?
Liverpool in England is because of Luis Diaz. I don't have a team that I'm concrete for, because as soon as you lose Luis Diaz, see ya, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I get you. I mean, I support Liverpool, so hopefully you stay as a Liverpool fan. But I think Diaz will be going to Barcelona or Real Madrid in the next 2 or 3 years.
And I'll be gone with him, buddy.
And there you go.
He's a fickle fan.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So let's bring it back to the content. If you were to give a couple pieces of advice to the starting content creator or somebody trying to build their way up, what would you say to them to jumpstart maybe their career, or just, what it takes to get to potentially where you're at, right?
Sure. I mean, let's start with a really, really obvious one, because I get it in DMs every single day. Is Santi, how do I start? Just start, dude. like I don't know what you want me to tell you. I can't give you advice until you start. Like, if you aren't even willing to hit the record button on anything, like, what is my advice gonna do for you? Like like, if you're gonna learn to play basketball, maybe start with getting on the court before you start asking somebody, how to take 3-pointers. Get there. So that's number one. Just start. And then from there on out, I very much am a believer in be everywhere all at once. Ideally, not just regurgitating the same content across all platforms. I think that there's a tremendous amount of value in being able to successfully cross-pollinate and giving people, and again, this is the sales in me, giving people value as to why they should take a particular action that you want them to take. And that action most of the time is like clicking the link in your bio and going to a different link. It sounds very simple on paper, but it's a very difficult thing for content creators to be able to do. It's much easier, again, if you give them value everywhere that you go, and you don't, how frustrating would it be, if we're talking next level, if you are on TikTok and you're convinced and you're sold to go to next level, but then it's the same thing you're just watching on TikTok. Like, that can be, there's some frustration there. I feel like if you're going to convince somebody to move over, you got to give them instant value with content that they haven't seen anywhere else. That's my personal opinion. And it's worked for me. Obviously I can't say it's gospel for everyone, but I truly genuinely believe that. Make yourself available everywhere, and just don't worry so much about equipment either. This, what I have here, this took me like 12 years to build. And people want, like, what's the camera that you use? Dude, like, just go buy a $50 webcam. You don't need an $800 camera. Like, you don't, you really, really don't. Like, you need to start somewhere. The last thing that I'll say is, don't compare. Like, what's the saying? Is it comparison is the thief of joy? Where you compare yourself to other content creators and you see what they've achieved and you feel like it's more than what you've achieved. And if for some reason you internally belittle the thing that you yourself have achieved. For example, like, I won't like name names or anything, but I had a content creator, be upset about like 50 people on their Twitch stream. I was like, dude, imagine 50 people around you on your screen, like in your room. How freaky is that? That's a lot of people. That's an insane amount of people. Think about it in that context. You've managed to convince 50 people to come watch you do something. But also, you don't know the struggle or like the full story of that content creator that you're comparing yourself to. I feel like if somebody looks at me in the wrestling content space, they're like, oh my God, like, this is the guy with several millions of followers across everywhere that he does. You're only seeing, like 2% of the story. You don't know that I've been creating content since 2007. You don't know that I've been making content for free for longer than I've been making money. So just focus on yourself, really, and create a content plan. It's the last one. Like, I upload daily on YouTube, and I have those 7 videos planned out like a week in advance.
Okay.
Because that's my schedule. It works for me daily. It is a grind. But if you don't have a schedule, people are not going to know when you're posting, regardless of what platform it is. If you come to my YouTube channel, you're getting a video daily. But that's not something that you have to do. You could make the expectation that your videos are going to be every Tuesday, and that becomes valuable to the audience base. But if you're just uploading sporadically, willy-nilly, sometimes you post 2 times a week, sometimes you post 1, then the expectation of what I'm getting as a viewer is not properly set. It's not understood. And I won't know when to come check out your channel. I won't know when to come by and click on that link in bio and get the instant gratification that I'm looking for as a viewer.
That's great advice. That's awesome.
That is.
So, you're grinding, you're making your content. You got to take a break sometimes. What do you like to do outside of creating content and that makes you happy that you need, I'm put all these hours in this day. I'm going to go fishing because I need that.
Yeah. Honestly, I think you're asking me at the worst time of my career because I am face down working my ass off. Like I'm obsessed with this job and what I do. It is almost 24/7 for me. I went from working my corporate job 9 to 5, and as soon as 5 hit, F you guys, I'm out of here.
Right.
Now, as it's my own business, like I am thinking about this at all times of the day. If I take breaks and I take vacation and I take days off, I do it around the schedule of my job so that I can maximize my job while still taking free time. Like, dude, I went to Portugal and I took my equipment with me and I got myself a separate hotel room from my girlfriend so that I could watch Survivor Series. and like, that's my level of obsession.
That's commitment. That is commitment.
That is what I do. So, you ask like, what are my hobbies? You got to take a break. I don't yet. I want to get to the point where I can step away from this and take a couple breaks here or there. But right now I'm very much in fully obsessed mode. But, I like exercising. I do still take care of my body that way. But really right now it's eat, sleep, content, exercise. It is my life right now at the moment.
Yeah. So you mentioned in college you used to play Call of Duty. Is that something you still do? And if you don't, or if you do, what's your favorite Call of Duty of all time?
Dude, I want to get back into gaming. It's so difficult right now with the schedule that I've put on myself. My favorite Call of Duty of all time is, I'm between Call of Duty 4 and Modern Warfare 3. I feel like to me those were the cleanest Call. Look, funny enough, I always tell people, just like wrestling, your favorite Call of Duty is all about what stage you were in your life. Like your favorite wrestler and your favorite era of wrestling, it's all about what stage you were in your life because it's all about the memories that it creates. Call of Duty 4, I just got into high school, and that's just what I associate it with. And Modern Warfare 3 was my first year of college, being away from my parents in my own dorm room. So like to me, I have a lot of great memories there because of it. Are they the best technical Call of Duty games? I don't know, dude. But it's the ones that I have the best fond memories of, which is why I love the Ruthless Aggression era. It's just like I associate it to the simplest time in my life when I was like 8 to 14.
Right. Awesome. All right, Santi, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. We absolutely appreciate you taking some time with us today, telling us a little bit about you outside of just all the content, but then also the advice that you gave not only to us, just starting up our own podcast, right? And building, we're trying to build something, but giving your viewers just another side of you. So we appreciate your time today. Jason, Cam, always a pleasure having you guys on.
Absolutely.
I enjoy the show. Make sure you are clicking our LinkedIn bio. We will air all of our podcasts every Friday at 12 Eastern. But again, we appreciate your time with us today.
Yes,
For sure.
sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Santi.